Hi everyone, and this is Emily Duplessis with Rental Rookie. On today's video, I want to walk you through the step-by-step process that I go through whenever I'm going to analyze a property that could be a potential investment for my husband and I. I've been hearing a lot of feedback from all of you, and what I've been hearing is that one of the main concerns when it comes to getting involved in rental property investing is that a lot of you seem to not be sure how to analyze a property, or maybe you have an idea of how to do it, but you're not sure if you're doing it correctly, and so on and so forth. And so what I thought I would do today is just walk you through step by step, take you through exactly what I do whenever I'm analyzing a property, and then take you through my mindset as to will this be a good deal or will this not be a good deal in terms of the goals that my husband and I have in terms of investing in rental property. Now, one of the things we have to remember is that when we find a property that we are interested in as investors, we have to crunch the numbers. It's very different from whenever you're purchasing a property for you to live in. When you're purchasing a property for you to live in, there's an emotional aspect that comes into play when we're looking at the aesthetics of a property and do we feel a connection to a property, so on and so forth. When we're looking at property as investors, we have got to leave emotion out, and it's got to be all about the numbers. One of the things that is important to remember about investing in real estate, like I said, is that we leave emotion out of the equation. The numbers have to make sense. If we let that part of it get away from us, then we could be setting ourselves up to fail. That's so important. The last thing that we want to do is to be setting ourselves up to fail in the future, to lose a property, to be, having to pay money every month just to keep the property in our own name and those sorts of things. So we have to make sure that we don't let that part of it get away from us. So a lot of people have seemed to be asking me lately, how do you analyze a property? I'm going to walk you through, like I said earlier, the exact process that I complete whenever I find a property that I'm interested in. So let's take a look at two properties. When I analyze a property, I am looking for two main things: the ROI, or the return on investment, and positive cash flow. Now, before we move on, I just want to take a minute to talk a little bit about ROI, right? ROI is extremely important when we're looking at an investment standpoint, and that can be whether you're investing in real estate like we are here, if you're investing in the stock market, if you're investing in bonds, in all sorts of other avenues that are out there. I mean, there are endless opportunities for you to be able to invest your money, and what you should be focused on whenever you do invest your money is what is your return going to be? What are you going to be getting back? So when we think about the ROI in terms of rental property, we figure out, or we calculate that number by taking the total cash, right? It's important. The total cash investment is one of the numbers that we have to pay attention to, but we want to look at the positive cash flow that we get each month. So let's say you make $100 positive cash flow each month. You want to add that up, so you're getting $1,200 a year in annual gross income, and then you would divide that by your total cash investment. So let's say you put $10,000 into the property. All right, so when we look at those numbers, you made $1,200 in gross income for the year, and then we divide that by $10,000 that you put in cash up front. That would be a 12% ROI. So that's going to let you know in terms of what you are looking at if it's going to be a good investment. Now, one of the things I want to mention before I get started is that everybody has kind of a different number in their head when it comes to ROI. Some people are fine getting anywhere from a 12 to 15% ROI. Others are looking at 15 to 20. My husband and I really look to get anywhere between 20 to 25% ROI. The first couple of properties that we started off with in terms of investing, we were getting about 25%, and we're still getting about 25% ROI on them. And so we've set our sights high, we've set the bar high, and so when it comes to investing, we're looking to get in that range of 20 to 25%, which is a little high. We have high standards and high expectations, but like I want to mention, and what I can't reiterate enough, is that everybody's going to have a different number that's going to work for them. So just because 20 to 25% is what we shoot for, you might be shooting for 12 to 15, and that's perfect and that's great. It's going to be whatever works for you. All right, so let's take a look at property analysis number one. We're going to take a look at a single family dwelling. All right, so if I'm going to, get on the computer and start just kind of perusing around the internet to see if I can find some properties for us to take a look at. You know, a lot of times I do this in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee. I'll go to a website like Redfin, like I have pulled up here, or Trulia, Zillow, Realty Track, any of those websites. I'll type in the area in which I'm looking for. Up here you can see that I put Winchester, Virginia. That's an area that my husband and I own some property, and then I put in price range. You know, I'm looking up to 150K. We usually like to stay anywhere between 70 to 120, but I put in 150, and then I'm going to take a look at the properties that come up. So today I'm going to take a look at, let's see, we've got 119.9 for a 3-1, about 1,000 square foot. Okay, that kind of falls into our parameters. It's ranch, which is a great property to invest in terms of single-family units. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and take a look at all the info that Redfin has to offer. Now, the thing that I really like about Redfin and Realty Track is like this as well, is that they provide us with a lot of information. What I have found, and although I use sites like Realtor.com quite a bit, just to kind of get on and look around, the problem sometimes that I've come into with Realtor.com is that they don't list the taxes, and that's a huge aspect of a property analysis. Is if you don't have that component, then your analysis is not going to be right. So I like to find the websites that have the taxes listed for us. So I'm taking a look at this. We've got some pictures. Usually the first thing that I do is I just scroll through the pictures. All right, outside's not bad, roof doesn't look bad, siding doesn't look bad. You know, we want to take a look at those skeletal things, the big ticket items that are going to cost us a lot of money. The front is interesting. Little issue here with the driveway or rock or whatever that is. So we'd probably have to clean the outside up a little bit. I'm scrolling through the pictures. The back doesn't look too bad. I'm not sure what's going on with that fence there. That would be something that we would have to take a look at. But again, the windows don't look too bad. Front door, you know, take into consideration all of the exterior landscaping. We have a nice back deck. Looks like we have a decent yard and it's fenced, so that's always a plus. Although the fence looks a little old, at least it is fenced, so that's a good start with the shed. Backyard's obviously overgrown. If you saw whenever I first came to this page, it said that it was a short sale. And so, you know, a lot of times what you'll see with properties that are short sale or bank owned, you're going to see that, you know, the yard might be overgrown or things inside might, you know, utility items inside, commodes, things, those sorts of things might be taped up because somebody probably has not been living in that property for quite a while. Deck doesn't look too bad. Gives us a nice little picture of where it is in terms of the street. And then we're inside. We've got either hardwood or laminate flooring. I always like to have that in my properties. I feel like that's a little bit more durable than carpet, although I like carpet in bedrooms and things like that. I feel like this type of flooring tends to last a little bit longer. We've got a nice big closet. Actually, the green color isn't that bad. I don't really like it on the doors, but on the walls it's not too bad. Same thing, nice, decent size room. The floors look a little scuffed, but you clean them up and you might get away with not having to resand them. If not, you could go down and resand them. It looks here like we got something with the little outlets. It might just be some issues with the walls. Either way, usually when my husband and I invest in a property and we go in and we do any kind of work to it, we always are working on the electrical and changing out old light sockets and old outlets and light switches and things like that. Another nice big closet. That's an asset. People like storage. People like closets. Another decent sized room. You know, looking at this, just in my head, I'm going, okay, I would definitely get rid of the ceiling fan, some paint on the walls. Floors really just could be cleaned up. Washer, dryer, all tenants like that. Not really sure what this room is. Maybe just kind of a side mud room almost, it looks like. Some storage. Yeah, so this is the house. This looks like this was just maybe an addition that was put on later. Nice big, somewhat open. You know, here I'm assuming that this is the dining area. Over here is probably the living area. Behind this wall is probably the kitchen. So we've got a nice open flow from the living to the dining. The kitchen's kind of closed off. You know, in today's world, everybody seems to like an open floor plan, but at the same time, we're not selling houses, we're renting them, and people are going to be okay with it. If you put your money into and make the kitchen nice, people aren't going to be so concerned with the non-openness. All right, so a little bit more of the idea of the kitchen. It looks like these hardwood floors go throughout, so that's really nice. You can get in and clean those up. I'm not really sure what's going on with the floor in the kitchen. It looks a little bit different. Here's a better view of the kitchen. Cabinets are old. Countertops, old appliances, I would probably definitely come in and replace. This wall actually would be interesting to find out about taking it down just to open that floor plan up a little bit. And that might be something that, somebody we would be interested in doing. We'd have to talk to a contractor though. Closer view of the countertops. It looks like it's got a little bit of a backsplash. Not a ton of counter space. Could be a detriment, but again, this is a rental. All right, so there I kind of walked you through, and as we went through, I just, again, tried to just show you and think out loud. As I'm looking at a property, those are the sorts of things that I'm paying attention to. When I'm looking at all the details, I'm saying, all right, it's a short sale, meaning that I'll take a look to try to see how long it's been on the market. Looks like it's been on Redfin for about 30 days, but a short sale, usually you can go in a little bit lower and get it at a little bit even more below market value, which is what we always want as investors. We want to be getting our properties below market value, force some appreciation on them in the first year, and then also be making some cash flow. And then if we can do those sorts of things, those three things, below market value, forced appreciation, collected cash flow, you should be golden. So scroll down. I always like to read what it says here. Dead end street, so that's nice. Good location. You can walk to shops and restaurants. That's important. New siding recently put on exterior of a house. That's a big thing because, like I said earlier, those are some big ticket items. What do we got? Maple kitchen cabinet, stacked washer dryer. Other room can be a fourth bedroom, family room, or garage. So you can kind of decide what you want to do with that. All right, awesome. So down here, we take a look at all the extra information. It's going to give you kind of all the measurements, those sorts of things. You can get listing price information, original price $124,500. It looks like it's come down to $119,000. Listing date, Saturday, June 28th. Short sale, and here we go, our taxes. That's one of the important parts, is trying to find those taxes. So now that I have all of this information, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my property analysis, and I use this all the time. You can download this on the website if you haven't done so already. I recommend doing it. I'll put a link to this in the blog post that this will accompany with, and I'll also put the link to this in the email where this video is sent. That way you definitely will have the opportunity to download it if you haven't yet. I'm going to kind of walk you through how to use it. There is a video on whenever you go to download the property analysis, there's a video that accompanies it, just of me walking you through how to use it correctly. But you're going to kind of get to see me do it here. So, if you feel like after this you want to download it and you feel like you have a good idea how to use it, then don't worry about watching that video. So first, I always come over here and I put down the information, 702 Battle Avenue. I'm looking for square footage. We got there, 1087. We're looking at year built right here, 1961. Property type, single family home. All right, SFH for short. So I got all of that detailed information, and it's important that you don't leave that out, because if you're anything like me and you run these, I don't even know how many of these things a week. I want to make sure that I'm not missing or mixing numbers with different types of properties. So make sure that you always put that property information in. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put the numbers in the calculator. I have a little note here. It always says that, I'm just going to read it to you. The formulas are already entered into the spreadsheet. Enter your numbers in the yellow shaded boxes only. So you'll see that there are some boxes that are white and some boxes that are yellow. You're only going to input your numbers in the yellow shaded boxes. All of the white boxes have formulas and already put into them, so things will generally and automatically generate a number for you. So you only want to deal with the yellow boxes. So I'm going to go ahead here. Purchase price is, what was it, $119,900. It's a short sale. Realistically, I would probably try to shoot for getting it around maybe $112,000. If I would go in, I'd probably try to go in around low 100s, 104, 105, with the hopes of getting it somewhere in between 110 and 114. So I'm going to put 112 down. As a investor, we have to put 20% down. I would be going after this as with conventional financing, so we would have to put 20% down. There's our down payment, $22,400. The loan amounts there, $89,000. Interest rates right now are about 5%, 5.25% maybe for investors. So we'll put that in, 30-year term, and it automatically calculates our payment with principal right there, $495. Closing costs, I always kind of leave those out because that's going to be determined by your lender, so I put those in at a later date. One thing before I continue on that I want to mention is this kind of initial analysis that I'm doing right now is one that, like I mentioned, I do countless times during the week, and it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to at least give me an idea of where the numbers fall. You know, things like closing costs that aren't going to be put in here, annual insurance, I'm going to estimate on some of those things. I'm going to estimate on a couple other things just from my own experience. And so, you know, what are those things that you need to think about? And if you are going to go through this process, you know, there's kind of, and when you start and you find a property that you're interested in, you just need to get a feel for even if it's worth pursuing and going even to look at. You can waste a lot of time looking up a bunch of properties online, making a list of them and just going to look at them before you actually ever run the numbers. You're going to waste your time and you're going to waste your realtor's time. You don't want to do that. If you want to keep a good relationship with your realtor, you don't want to waste their time either. So if you have something like the property analysis and that you can just throw some numbers in quickly and get a general idea if it's something that's worth pursuing, that's something that's going to be, and that's a tool that's really going to help you as an investor. Annual property tax. Let's see, if we go back down here, what was it? Annual property tax, $1148.55. Come back over here and put that in. $1148.55. Annual insurance, I'm going to say it's about $300 just from my own experience. Vacancy rate, I'm going to come back to that here in a minute. Renovations, kind of taking a look at some of the stuff that was, you know, needed to be done in there overall. We definitely would need to paint. No question about that. Paint the trim, paint the walls, probably paint the ceiling. So there you're probably looking at about, in a house like that, I don't know, maybe $1,500-ish to $2,000 depending on, and I'm talking from this area in Winchester because we've used contractors there before. So maybe $1,500-1,600. So you've got that. Just thinking about general hardware things, light fixtures, ceiling fans, outlets, light switches, socket plates, all of those sorts of things, you're probably looking at another $700. So now we're up over, you know, low twos, $2,200, $2,300. The kitchen, I would definitely want to put a little bit of money in there. New appliances. One of the things that we like to do, and before we go out and buy brand new appliances, you know, I'll scour Craigslist and I'll look for things that are gently, you know, appliances that are gently used. You know, I'm not going to go buy a hunk of junk to put in there because I want nice things in there. But you'd be amazed at the nice appliances or washer and dryer or things that people will sell on there. And a lot of times it's, you know, what I have found is people are moving and they move into a house and the house has brand new things, but they had really nice stuff from their old place that they were taking with them, and now they're just going to sell it and try to make some money off of it. So you can get some pretty nice stuff fairly cheap. So I would say maybe about $1,000 there for different types of appliances. That's probably a little high. Maybe $800. So now we're looking at around $3,000. And then I would probably put about a grand or so in that kitchen and just I would paint the cabinets, get some new hardware, new countertop. So we're probably looking at about $4,500, I would say, for renovations. And again, I'm running through that in my head just because we've done some renovations before. I'm kind of basing that off of our own experiences. One of the important things that you want to think about, though, when you run these numbers, to calculate an accurate ROI, you're going to need to include a number in the renovation section, because if you don't include that, and it's maybe not so important now here in the beginning when you're just running numbers, but I think it's important to make sure that you're including it in there, even if you're kind of guessing and, you know, saying, oh, maybe it's going to be about $5,000 or maybe about $3,000. Put it in there, because that, if you're going to go into a property and do some renovations before you rent it, that's going to actually change your ROI, because an ROI is all about your total cash investment. So that's going to be your down payment. That's going to be your closing costs. That's going to be any kind of renovations that you do in the beginning. That's all cash that you're investing in this property from the beginning. So you need to account for that whenever you run an analysis to make sure that you're getting an accurate ROI. Advertising and listing fees, we don't typically really pay any money for that. We do all of our listing online on free sites. So we've, you know, in our past, we've never had to pay advertising or listing fees. So we're coming down here, and at this point, we're looking at almost $27,000 total cash investment. When we come to monthly expenses, you'll see principal and interest is here, your monthly property tax, your monthly insurance, management fees. If you would use a property manager, you would put that in there. We manage our properties on our own, so we wouldn't put anything in there. Utilities, we would have those all go to the tenant. We usually always have our tenants pay all their utilities. So they're in a house like this, they're going to be taking care of their own maintenance, and this is not in an HOA or condo. So that's going to be 0 too. So we're looking at the total payment being $615 for this property, $615. So I'm going to come back up here to that vacancy rate, and I'm going to put, I always like to put 1 month's rent in the vacancy rate. We've had really good experience in our past of really never having to make a payment without having tenants in there. We've been able to, when tenants have moved out, get somebody in there quick enough that we haven't had to pay a month's rent. But I think it's important also to just calculate, at least, assume that 1 month you're going to have to be paying that PITI each month. And so I like to include that in my analysis as well. So now we're looking at a little over $27,000. And now, like I said, we have our payment of $615. Now, this is where we need to find out what we can rent it for, right? Because we want to know what is going to be our positive cash flow each month. So after I input all those numbers, I come back to the internet and I'll go again, maybe to Redfin, Realtor.com, Zillow, any of those websites, and I'll put in and I'll go ahead and take a look at rentals, right? So just like whenever you're going to buy a house and sell a house and you look at market comparables, you're going to do that same thing for renting. So I come back here, I click rent, come down here, put Winchester, Virginia, I put in 3 beds because there's 3 bedrooms, 1 plus bath, and I'm going to say that my guess is it's not going to rent for any more than, 15. I don't even think it'll rent for $1,500, but I just want to get out some of those rentals that are, $1,800, $2,000, that's just wasting my time. I don't really want to look at those. So I'm going to put in $1,500. We see that there's 22 rentals, and I'm just going to scroll through, and this is what I do. I take a look at, how many beds, how many baths, is it similar in style, right, to the house that I'm going to invest in. So here we have a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, $900 a month, little rancher here. It doesn't look like it probably has the, doesn't look like it probably has the extra room, but I'm going to go ahead and open the link in a new tab so that I can take a look at some of the pictures and check out and see if it might be similar in terms of inside finishes. Alright, so I'm going to continue to scroll down here and take a look and see what else we have in terms of comparables. Alright, here we have a 3-bedroom, 1 bath for $1,000. Let's go ahead and open that link in a new tab. We've got a 3-2. So I am going to look at that because in terms of it has 1 more bathroom, but I would like to just see, where it falls in terms of how well updated it is and those sorts of things. I always kind of like to look at what the next kind of step up from this property is in terms of beds and baths. That way I kind of know what we're shooting for in terms of size, but then also in terms of the updates inside. Here we have another one, 3, 1.5 for $1,100. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at those and take a look at what comes up. So we've got here 11,000 or 1,152 square feet, so slightly bigger, not even 100 square feet bigger. 3 beds, 1.5 baths, so it does have the extra half bath. Kitchen's definitely a little bit bigger. It's got an island here. The back area looks like it might be wheelchair accessible. Doesn't really have much of a yard though, so the property that we're looking at definitely has more yard in terms of, and that making that more favorable for tenants. So that's at $1,100, so we know what that's all about. Go ahead and close out of that. Let's take a look at this one. Alright, this was a 3-1. This is smaller. $900 a month, 981 square feet. Let's take a look at some of the pictures. The outside's nicely manicured and nicely landscaped. So a little bit of work on that on our property and we'd be good. Nice big yard, fenced in just like ours. Doesn't have a port or a little deck out the back like ours does, so that's a nice feature. Got a little shed. The shed that was on our property was much bigger than this. This looks like just a one that you can move around from place to place. Here again we have hardwood floors. Nice big open space. Kitchen, old, but definitely a little bit bigger probably than the one that we are looking at in our property. But in terms of age, I would say it's similar. The appliances are newer, but the cabinets are still kind of old and the countertop's old. So kind of a wash there. Definitely bigger and nicely open to the dining room. Open, definitely better than, the property that we're looking at. But old floors, looks like it's old vinyl. Bedroom, I assume. Bedroom, I assume. Windows don't look too bad. Bathroom, nice big tub that looks fairly good. Okay, so not bad. I would say a fairly good comp. It is a little bit smaller. Yard size is still, both had a fairly big yard size. This one didn't have the deck out the back, and could still be, updated. Let's take a look at this one. This one's a little bit bigger, 12. This is maybe a little, about 200 square feet more bigger, but still 3-1. Nice, again, manicured outside. Okay, we got the nice hardwood or laminate flooring here. We got kind of this older paneling. Fireplace is a nice feature. Again, another old kitchen. Now this is going for $1,000. It's a little bit bigger, but we got an old kitchen again. Very, old kitchen. Lots of potential though. I'd love to go in and do some work to that. Bedroom, an old bathroom. That bathroom needs to be most definitely updated. A little carport, it looks like. Alright. And this one was for $1,000. Alright. I think we have one more, and that was the 3-2. Yeah, so here we had the 3-2, 1,500 square feet, so considerably bigger. Now this is, $300 to $400 more expensive. Nice outside, attached garage, nice beams in the ceiling. Nice and clean. Again, an older kitchen. Nice washer dryer. Looks like a little bit of an older vanity. Alright, so that's kind of our when we're thinking, doesn't have really a deck out the back, just a little walkway. Does have the nice garage, which is a nice feature. Okay, so when I'm now kind of sitting here and thinking about what I just saw in terms of properties, in terms of square footage and beds and baths, I would say that it was probably around that 900 to 1,000 rental number. Now, in all of the properties that we looked at, they all were pretty old on the inside. Now, the renovation budget, $4,500, would enable us to go in and freshen it up, update it, new light fixtures and new hardware, new doorknobs, go into that kitchen, new nice countertop, paint the cabinets, get some new hardware on there. And so I really think with the renovations that we would be going to put in there, that we probably could get on the upper end of that, maybe like 1,100, even though, because even here when we looked at that 3-1.5, they were asking 1,100 on that one, and it was still old. It was a little bit bigger and had the extra half bath, but the inside was still old. So I would say, 1,000 to 1,100 would be my goal rent for the property. So if I come back here to the property analysis, and I put in, I can start off with just putting in 1,000. We're looking at cash flow of $385. I usually like to go a little bit higher. I don't mind dropping the price. If it sits for, if we don't get calls for the first week, 7 to 10 days, then I'll drop the price. But I always like to go a little bit higher. That's just kind of my tactic. So I would go 1,100. Cash flow on that, it automatically calculates. It would be $485 a month. We're looking at about $5,800 a year in terms of net yearly income, so that's the cash that's in your pocket. And then we take a look at our actual ROI, which automatically calculates, and it's 21%, which, for my husband and I, kind of falls in that range of 20 to 25% is what we usually shoot for in terms of goals for ROI. So this would be a property that then, taking a look at the numbers, taking a look at the fact that it's a short sale, so that we could definitely get it below market value, number one. Number two, we could force some appreciation on it almost immediately. One, because we would be getting it below market value, but also because we would be going in and doing some renovations. So we'd get forced appreciation, and we'd be getting almost $500 a month in cash flow. So, 1, 2, 3, those are kind of my golden 3 that I shoot for, and all of those things are happening in this property. So, actually looking at this, and this is the first I've actually even looked at this property. I just pulled it up for this video. So at this point now, I actually will contact my realtor because it is something that my husband and I would be interested in pursuing. But the next step would be to contact the realtor. If you have a realtor that you're working with, call them up, see if they can find out any more information on it for you. Try to schedule a showing so that you can get there. If you don't have a realtor, you can call the listing agent. If you go back and take a look at the listing on there, there's usually an agent that you can contact or email. And usually they can contact you, or the listing agent will contact you right here. Listing provided, Wanda Miller, Century 21. So you can look her up and shoot her an email and see if she can show it to you if you don't have a realtor. But those are some options. So, that's really the process that we would go through. Next, we would go set up the appointment. We would go and take a look at it. We would do some measurements while we're there. Really kind of take a look and see about that renovation budget. If there were some things that we didn't see in the pictures that we would need to fix or add, and see if that renovation budget would be, needing to go up or needing to go down. And then that, at the end of the day, may influence whether or not we would actually pursue it. And we'd also talk to the realtor about, her idea for rental comps. We kind of just ran a quick market comparable analysis right here, but, it's easy to just talk to your realtor and say, all right, what are rates right now in terms of rent, in terms of how it is, and then if we come in and put, $5,000 in and fix it up, what do you think you can rent for? And it's always good to get their feedback as well. But definitely a property then that we would, in our mind would be worth pursuing. But that's the process, and I really hope that this helped, because I just wanted to, I feel like the analysis aspect of it has been an area where a lot of people have been reaching out, and that's what's tripping them up, or that's what's holding them back, and rightfully so, because it's an important part of the process, but it's also can be very overwhelming if you don't really know what you're doing. So I hope just kind of walking you through this and talking through it as well. Like I said, it was all about just kind of letting you know my thought process as we're going through and analyzing this property. I really hope that has helped you and showed you, and that you're able now to go and, I would recommend, honestly, if you haven't downloaded the property analysis, I would go and download it now. It's free. You don't have to, pay anything. Download it and then just go pull up any kind of listing and just play around with the numbers and get a feel for pulling out the numbers that you need to pay attention to whenever you're running a property analysis, so that it can help you whenever you actually are finding properties that you're interested in. I really would recommend, like I said, I'll put a link, there's a link to the property analysis in the email. You can just click on that and you should be able to download it straight away. I think for the sake of time, I know at the beginning of the video I said that I was going to run us through 2 properties, but I know that this has gone on now for a little while and everybody's very busy. So, I think I'll cut it there and just, let you see and work with this type of analysis. One thing that I do want to mention, though, is that if you look over here on the sidebar of the property analysis, there are different analysis worksheets for the different types of properties. So, for instance, this is for a single-family dwelling. You'll notice that there's only one spot for monthly rental income. If you, let me take a look at this. If you click down to multi-unit, all right, that is going to be, say, a duplex or triplex, 4-unit, 5-unit, 6-unit, etc. So if you're looking to jump into the multi-unit area, then this would be the spreadsheet that you would want to use, because there are multiple spots for you to put monthly rental income. Then, if you are interested at all in looking at a student rental, all right, student rentals a lot of times are calculated a little bit differently. What you'll find with a student rental is that a lot of times landlords will lease student rentals based off of semester. So you're not a lot of times paying per month. You can pay per month. Some of the ones that we've looked at have been on a year annual lease for a per month rent. But a lot of times landlords will just charge a fall semester rate and a spring semester rate. They pay that, that one lump sum or however the landlord wants to do it, and then that covers them for, then technically the tenants or the students are not paying in the summer, but what happens is that you as the landlord can charge a little bit more in those semester payments or those semester charges to cover your rent through the summer. But in that sense, if you're looking at a student rental and you're thinking about charging per semester, this spreadsheet is going to be the one that you're going to want to use, because over here you can put in, let's say you're charging $2,200 per semester. It will automatically double because we're looking at 2 semesters a year, right? So you just put in whatever you're charging them per semester, and it will automatically calculate and double it for the fall and spring semester. So if you're looking at a student rental, you'd be wanting to use this one. A multi-unit, you're going to be wanting to use this one. A single family, you're going to want to be using this one. Single family being, a rancher, a normal single family house, a condo, a townhouse, or even a student rental that you're using just as an annual lease and you're having one charge that the kids are splitting, or however you go about it. So there are multiple worksheets here for you to use. I recommend using them. I hope that they help. As always, you can feel free to contact me with feedback, or if there's something you'd like to see, added to the property analysis, that's something that I can definitely take a look at. But again, it's really just to give you a quick idea of what the numbers are looking like on a particular property. So I think with that, we'll end for this video. Like I mentioned, I hope it was helpful. If you ever have questions or feedback, or as you were watching this, you thought of something that maybe I didn't cover, feel free to shoot me an email, reach out to me, and let me know what that is, and I can get back to you with the answer as soon as I can. All right, happy investing.